the last 13 days have been a total shift. At the end of creative expression, Jorge, we did our closing circle, and Jorge was like, okay, and now Noble Silence begins now. And I thought we were gonna have a little bit of time, and it was like a little shocking. I was like, oh, wait, you know, and I'd been using my rapping and song to kind of break Noble Silence throughout creative expression and talk. But when he said that, something in me just like, whew, he was like, we're diving in deep now, and Noble Silence begins. And I felt the shift in me, and I was like, I'm a bit of a procrastinator, one could say. And I think that first 20 days, I was just like, well, I got 30 days, so I don't need to jump right into all the deep work just yet. And then 10 days, and then it was playtime. You know, he called it utopia, those middle 10 days of creative expression. And then I was like, wow, this is it. Like, this is what I've been waiting for. This is why I'm here. Like, take your moments. And so something in me shifted, and those, I mentioned it in Closing Circle today, but a brother had kind of called me out on my very extrovert, rambunctious personality, and how he had felt really jolted because he wasn't quite ready to speak after the first Closing Circle, and how he was a sensitive flower, and just kind of really brought my attention inward in that statement of reflection. I love being called out. Like, call me out all day, every day, just do it with kindness, but I'm here to grow and learn and be a better person. So I jump at those opportunities. And I was sitting with that, and I'm a Leo lion, and I just prance around, and I don't notice the little lilies growing in the grass, and so I step all over them, and it's not with ill will, it's just me being myself. And that's when I really started to look at myself. And in Closing Circle, I brought up a story and how his comment had triggered my own reflection into myself of who am I and why am I like this. And we watched this movie, Samadhi, and it discusses how personality is conditioned. When you're born, you have no sense of self. You have this luminous emptiness. A baby's eyes, they truly are like, just Buddha belly out, and they're just like them authentic self, but they have no concept of self at the same time. And to really feel that essence, and I went back to myself as a child, and my childhood was not very innocent. It was really traumatic, and there was a lot of abuse and violence and war, figuratively and literally, and visions of people in gas masks in Israel, and like I was just going really, really deep, really quickly, and into all of it, into my childhood, and had this deep epiphany, which I shared with everybody, of self, and how my survival mechanism of wanting to protect myself and protect my sister, who was the only constant in my life, through all of that trauma. We were shuffling between countries, we were shuffling between adults, we were just constantly being shuffled around. And she was everything. She was my mother, my father, my best friend, and I was a baby. I mean, I would get sick, she would take care of me, and I'm 3 and she's 4. Our roles were just so mature at such a young age. And so we lost a lot of our innocence, we lost a lot of our childlike self, and that affected us really greatly. And my sister battles, anger and depression and really heavy emotions, and that was never my thing. That was intensity. I'm very like, how do I decrease the intensity in the room? How do I make it really soft and really gentle? I was always like the happy baby or the happy child is what they would tell me. And I still hold all that trauma, though. I just didn't have the whereabouts to communicate it and understand it conceptually. It just became an integral part of my personality. But we watched that movie Laughology, and the power of laughter and how it's instinctual. And people, when one person starts laughing, another person starts laughing, and it's very primal. And it's this love language. And I guess I learned that really, really, really young, watching my sister laugh at me being a silly baby, you know, and hearing her laughter, I had like little memories of that, of how like I felt safe, you know, and making her laugh was like, it was the end all and be all of my life, like, yes, you know, like laughter. And her being my voice, my shield, my armor, having her take the brunt of everything with her anger that she used as her survival mechanism, because she was very angry that everything was constantly changing and taken from us. And so to protect her, I developed this intense personality of be the showman, be the comedian, be the one to relieve the tension and create a safety net for us. And so that was a really profound moment for me of self-awareness and understanding and compassion for myself, and then a gentle ease of not having to be that person. You know, I entered this last circle and I was like, you don't have to perform. You don't have to share any of your words of poetry or your song, or, you know, like just show up as your authentic self. And I was just crying. I was like a messy ball of emotion and tears, and it was really beautiful to be held in that circle and feel safe, and have that container to be vulnerable was for me really important and so healing, so healing. And so I was doing that work, and my sister Nadia, who were doing spirit healers together, and I could feel her so hard during the course, and she started to go through her own healing process and heal her trauma through her ancestry, and we had profound healing moments together. During a yin yoga, I just went over to her and laid my hands on where she has her health stuff that she's going through and where it's manifesting, and I don't know, I was like totally in a healing zone and just doing things I wasn't going to do to everybody else in yin yoga, like breathing into her rib cage and just whispering these affirmations of like, you are whole and you are healing, you are worthy, you are deserving. And like she lost it and I lost it, and we're in yin yoga just like holding each other, and that catalyzed an entire healing session for her. And so to bear witness and to hold space for my sister, you know, who we have this divine work, karmic work to do together as an Israeli and a Syrian, and we're doing all this deep healing on ourselves, and that my Israeli trauma came up and her Syrian ancestry trauma came up, and we were both doing that work individually to now prepare to go do it collectively. It was so profound. And just like this space of, you know, I'm like, it's weird that it's over. I'm still like processing, and still it's going to integrate, I'm sure, for a long time. And I have another course coming up in 2 weeks, thank God. So I get to sit with it a little bit longer. And my sister is coming to that course. So I get to look at all the stuff that I just got to shovel up and then sit with it with her. And we have deep healing work to do together. So that's awesome. But yeah, the last 10 days were deep meditation. When we finally made a circle, I felt it was so easy to drop into that unity, that oneness, that sensation of like, we are all one, that we've all been cultivating. And when you're like, I'm in the front row, so I don't get to see anybody behind me. When I'm meditating, I look at the ocean if I need to open my eyes, and then to like have the circle be formed, I could feel what we had cultivated. Like literally, you know, it wasn't just like a thought, it was like an actual feeling. And I dropped into meditation so quickly and held it for so long, knowing that my brothers and my sisters were all like, we had just initiated something, and that we are the change we wish to see, and we are the building the new earth together, and that we had all been drawn into this. And it's crazy. I have this like spirit healers, Nadia made me this during creative expression, and I've been meditating with it. Can you guys see it? Every day. Yeah. So cute. So she made me this, and she left it on my mat, and you know, I got a lot of downloads for spirit healers during the last 10 days as well about just the next steps. And I was overwhelmed with fear during one of my sits. It was actually, all the trauma came up, and then this feeling of deep unworthiness, and then this overwhelming doubt and fear. And when I felt like it was the quickest meditation, and then the bell rang, and I opened my eyes and I saw spirit healers right in front of me. And I was just like, this is too big. Like, what am I thinking? Well, I can't do this, you know? And like, I just was in a funk. And spirit was, you know, right in the back of my head, like, hush, you know, you can do this. That's why it's happening. And like, you've already done it. You've done it before. You're just stepping back in. And I was walking to breakfast. It was the morning meditation. It was like just jumped right in, you know, 5:30 a.m. already doing the deep work. And I was in my own like headspace. And I went to breakfast, and Solomon, who's this amazing character of a man with his bushy, like, white hair out to here and his purple pants, and I was just getting my protein powder for breakfast, and I just see him, like, next to me. And I was like, we're in noble silence, you know? And he just keeps, like, poking his head over at me, and I'm like, he's like, Danielle? And I was like, which is my first name, I'm going by Galya, you know? And I'm like, yeah, it's me, you know? And he's like, and he shows me this rash that has just popped up. He's like, I've got this rash. Can you take my pulse before I eat anything, see what's going on? And I was so in my own, like, you know, headspace, and I was like, well, yeah, of course, you know? And I sat him down, and it was like the first day one of like intense 10 days where I was like, all right, deep work day, had that meditation, all of a sudden all the stuff's coming up, and then he asked me to take his pulse, and it was such a gift because it immediately pulled me out of my whole mental loop of like, oh my God, I'm not worthy, and like trauma and fear, and this is too much. And I'm taking his pulse, and I was like, oh, you know, this is what I feel, let's do a treatment later, you know, after, in the break. He was like, great. And that afternoon, 2 more people asked me for healing. I was healing Solomon, and then Courtney was like, hey, can you throw some needles in my neck? And then this other woman, Pandora, was like, oh, my sacrum and my shoulder. And I just had 3, I was doing like a little community in the shala, just like running between these 3 beautiful souls that had asked for help. And, you know, when I came here, I had the spirit healers that I had called in, Lily, Jenny, Nadia, Dakota, Jeremiah, and Flora. And there's 6 of us that I knew were with this intention. And it was wild to watch spirit healers save me. Because here I was like going through it, you know, and I was like feeling all sad and sorry for myself, and just like fear, fear, fear. And then these people, not knowing what I'm going through on my mat, not knowing that I'm battling all these things, come in their vulnerability and ask me for help, and that they felt safe, that they trusted me, you know, and that was like, oh my God, so humbling, so appreciative. I was so grateful that they surrendered to knowing that they too needed help, and then just reminding me that like we all need help along the way, and snapping me out of my stuff. Yeah, that was a really profound moment, and it continued to happen. And one girl even offered to pay me because she was getting like another treatment. I was like insulted, you know, I was like, what? No. And that's when I also realized, like, I've been hustling my whole life. I mean, I shared that story in Circle when I was 6 years old collecting cans. I started working when I was 12. I had to go to the county office to like get paperwork to say that I could only work a certain amount of hours. I've just been hustling, working my ass off, and saved every dollar, bought a car before I had a license, dropped out of high school to go to college, fucking moved out of my house when I was 18 and never looked back, got an apartment, paid my way through college, like just going so hard. And to be here, you know, even living my dharma of being a healer, and then knowing that there's this expectation of payment, you know, and that's part of the energetic exchange, which is really beautiful, but also takes away from the purity of giving, of being of service. and having, I mean, every single one of my breaks began to fill up with healing opportunities. And at the end of the course, all these people came up to me and they're like, you were just giving and giving and like, oh my God. And I was like, it was feeding me. Like, my work was on the mat. My work was with myself. I took my me time and I went deep, and giving was saving me. Like, my service was saving me, and it was my medicine, and my humility. I was just so grateful to have that realization that, like, I don't want to just go out and hustle. Like, I don't want my healing to be a hustle. I want it to be a service, because it feels so good to give without wanting anything back, and to give to people who are willing to be vulnerable, to ask for help, and to be able to step in there and be like, yes, yes, I want to help you, and I don't want anything in return for it. I just want you to receive. Which Quepasana builds that environment of receiving. That's what we're all here to do is, yeah, we're in service and we give back, but like truly learning that gift of receiving. And started with 6 spirit healers. And by the end, there's a sign-up sheet full of names of people that heard about it. And we mentioned it in closing circle, and they all wanted to help. And I like sat in my tent and cried last night. I was like, what? This is crazy, like this all started from an idea a year ago in Vipassana, my first Vipassana. And like, here I am a year later with my first 6 people who said yes, which is like crazy in and of itself, to now have a whole list of names of people that are like, yeah, I'm a spirit healer too, like, put me on the team, coach. And I'm just like, oh my God, the vision is so strong. And I just went and dropped in with Jorge for like a second. I was just like, I'm so humbled. Like, I don't even know what to do. I'm overwhelmed. And he's like, when you come with that pure intention and that's seen, the people show up and they do want to help. And he's like, that's kind of how this started, It's like, I just kind of, I show up and I meditate, and then like all these people want to help, and they just keep coming, and they just give their gifts and share it with you. And he's like, you'll see, and it'll start to ripple. And like something that happened in this course in 2 years, you'll see how that is going to like ripple into something else. And like, he's like, I'm still learning, So it's been a wild freaking ride. And I'm so overwhelmed with gratitude and just, I don't even know, there's like a lack of words. I wanted to share in Circle again today, and I'm having trouble like finding my voice, because there's also this part of me that's like, you don't have to do, you can just like be, and that everyone is your voice. So like everyone else sharing is you, and you're saying it too, and you don't need to like say it in your own words. It's okay. So I'm still kind of like integrating. If I'm not as articulate and poetic in this last interview, you please excuse me. My overall impression of Quepasana as a whole is, this is it. This is brilliant. It's constantly evolving and growing and having things being added to it. And as a whole, its core values, its core mission statement, its core essence is pure. And the purity is be with yourself, and as it is, and effortless ease, and stay focused, bring it back in. And people kept saying, you're bringing us home, you're bringing us home. And we are always looking outside of ourselves for validation, for meaning, always trying to give something. It's like extra added layers. And this is just be still, just sit with yourself and start to notice that there's 2 parts to yourself. There's this crazy thing up here, and then there's this other inner knowing. And it's built and maintained the entire time to cultivate a space where you can just be a human being. And that's it right there. That's all we need to know. That's all you need to do. Yep. The most challenging part of the 30 days was being with myself, honestly. Making, I have all these expectations of myself, and you storytell, and you want every meditation to be profound, and you want to have all these revelations, and you get frustrated when your neck hurts and you keep moving and you're going into fantasy, or you're replaying the same story over and over, and you're like, what the hell is wrong with me? Like, why can't I just stop, And just seeing your own crazy. You're just like, this is me. This is actually who I am when I stop for a second and look at myself. So that was definitely a challenge. And also just, our days are so full, so full. You have like maybe a couple hours to yourself, and yet you're with yourself the entire time. It's really ironic, but you're like with things to do. You're meditating, you're getting yoga, even though all of that's a meditation too. Eating's a meditation, everything's a meditation. But feeling in those off hours, I mean, they towards the end here got filled with healing opportunities, which was really great, but also just seeing how when I didn't have the routine, I didn't know what to do with myself. And that's still that essence of wanting to run away from myself. That was kind of challenging to look at and sit with, and also just be okay with as it is. Just so many girls, so many judgments, that's why I changed my name. That's why I shifted from Danielle to Galya. It's like, I don't want to judge anymore. I just want to be like a wave, flow like a wave. And this was a good catalyst. The new year, it's 2019. Like, I don't even know what's going on outside that gate. I don't even know what's going on in the world. Like, we have had no social media, no connection to the outside. I don't even want my phone back. And it was wild because I can feel when there's a phone near me now. I can feel it, and I don't want anything to do with it. And I'm curious to see how I'm gonna find balance again, because I don't want to undo all that was just done, even though you can't. It's in you and it's there. But I would just say that the most challenging part was filling the void of the emptiness of oh, you don't have to sit in meditation, so what are you going to do now? And I was like, I don't know. Stare at the ocean. So, oh my God, leaving the gates. How do I feel about leaving these gates? There's a slight trepidation and excitement and fear and overwhelmment, but that's the work, I keep thinking about Flora, who has to go back to the concrete jungle of New York City. She has a few days here to integrate, but we built this container, this safe bubble, and we become family. Even though we barely talk, we become this organism that we all pulsate together, we all feel together, and now the time has come, and it's like we're popping the membrane, we're popping the eggshell, we gotta go live our lives. And that's where the work is. That's where the true application of this process lies. And, I got to leave every day to go to the beach, so I did get a little glimpse of the outside world that, driving by, but there's a lot going on. There was my own trauma, which is just the trauma of the world, and there's my own story, which is the story of the world and the judgments of the world. And now we've been given this gift, and so many people out there have no idea that this gift even exists. And so the work is to go and spread this light, to be the ripple, and to just be an example by doing our meditation, keeping our practice, and flowing with ourselves and being self-aware and spreading that love and light. And so as easy as it is to want to just stay here forever, and there's definitely a part of me, I went up to Jorge, I'm like, do I have to go? Please don't make me leave. But at the same time, I was like, no, I'm also really, really excited. I'm excited to start momentum with the Spirit Healers movement even more, to start really doing the nitty gritty, the details, and then to show what we've cultivated, you know, like we could keep it all contained here forever, and that's magical. And yeah, we're healing the world and we're creating the change. And also when we like divide and conquer, you know, and we get to just, we're about to blast the whole world with all this love. We're about to like pop a little hole in this bubble and then all like spread out. And that's beautiful, that's exciting, and that's needed. And that's, you know, that's the calling that that brought us here. You know, it's like, all right, come do this so that then you can go out and do whatever you're doing with more efficiency, awareness, love, empathy. Did I mention what Spirit Healers stands for?
I don't think so.
Okay, I meant to do this. I meant to do a lot of things that didn't happen. Spirit Healers stands for strong professionals with integrity and respect and integrative training, healing and helping everyone all over with love, empathy, respect, and sustainability. Yeah. And so as much as I want to just stay right here, the call is to go help everyone all over and share this gift. So the goal is to take this gift in the backpack and continue to offer this and be the example of this to as many people as we can. So, I mean, bring it, you know. I'm gonna try, drag my legs a little bit and give 1,000 hugs so I don't have to leave right away, but there's a part of me that's like, that's ready. Yeah, I wanna hug everyone that needs a hug, and I wanna like see the light in everybody, you know, and spread it, because that's what we need. Yeah. The easiest part about Quepasana is showing up. Having your day scheduled, even though it starts at 4:30 in the morning. That was actually not the hardest part. That was like, all right, I mean, there were days where I wanted to stay in bed, but once you're in the shala, you're like, okay, I got this. Showing up for everything, showing up for my meditation. The sits got really easy towards the end. No pain, no suffering through them. Even though my mind was going nuts, like the physical started to subside a lot. Ooh, what was surprising to find was I had mentioned my whole thing about wanting to fast, and that was such a journey. I was like, all right, I'm gonna fast. Like, I got excited about it, and then I went to breakfast to just get like the stuff. I was gonna do liquids, you know. I was like, all right, water and like protein shake. That's it. And I went to get the protein shake, and then I was like, oh, well, there's bananas. So like, maybe I'll throw a banana in there. And like, every time I went to not eat, I was like, I'm just gonna go get tea for lunch. I'm like, oh shoot, well, it's soup, so like maybe I can have soup, you know? And I just kept going with it. And then the shame and like the guilt started building of like, you're not fasting. You said you were gonna fast. Like, you had built this whole story. And then I had this realization of like, well, why do you have to suffer to learn a lesson? Fasting, because of the trauma of your, you know, of everybody going through Holocaust and depression and all that, was in and of itself taking away. And here you are in a situation where there's all this abundance and you're supposed to be nourishing yourself and you're doing all this really intense work, and you want to suffer. Like, you want to make yourself suffer so you can learn a lesson so that you can say you did it, because you think that that's going to make you somehow stronger and clear the ancestral trauma that already happened is by you suffering more. So I went through this whole internal process with it, and then I was like, that's not the point at all. The point is to be mindful and to make each bite a meditation and an opportunity to be just like grateful for your nourishment. And it shifted my whole being. And then I was like, well, don't be gluttonous, you know, like I took a lot less, and I like was like, well, you don't need to like eat, like, you know, just small portions, and just enjoy each portion so fully. And if you're still hungry and you're really hungry, like have a glass of water in between, and like just kind of breaking the pattern of just like not being responsive and reactive and not observing myself. And so I took that extra beat and just like dropped in with myself, and I was like, your relationship with food is the problem, not eating in and of itself. It was just like, no, Galya, take a second, you know? So that was a surprising twist. So I didn't fast at all. Long story short. I definitely feel like a changed person. How can you not feel like a changed person? We're always changing, hopefully. I mean, that's the goal, right? I have so much clarity as to who I am on a deep level and a superficial level. I still have so much work. That's life. And yet, I'm exactly where I need to be. I feel safe. I feel held. And I feel a clarity with myself and a certainty that I was hoping to achieve in these 30 days. I had the intention. I even, I said, like, I can't make any decisions till after the 30 days. Like, don't ask me anything. Don't talk to me. I don't even know who I'm going to be. I had hopes to be, clearer, lighter, brighter. And that all came. And it came really in these last 10 days. And then seeing the response to what I had to share and the vision that I have and the calling to do this service work, I do feel changed, and I do feel like a raw tenderness in it, and it's still like a lotus that's like just starting to blossom out of the muck, and I'm sure I'll go back into that dirty water and then come back out again, and that ebb and flow. But I'm finding myself, my true self, more and more and more with each sit, and each time I get quiet, the epiphanies, they come, there's something to meditation, y'all. It's real. The biggest takeaway from Quepasana for me is that I am enough, and that I can do and try to prove that to everyone else, but at the end of the day, what really matters is that I believe it, and that I'm gentle with myself as I go through that process of truly believing it. I think that so many of us are conditioned to people please, or to be something, to prove something. We're constantly looking for validation, and it's not a bad thing. There's no judgment, It feels good to be told you're doing a great job, or to be seen. And yet it's always for what we're doing and not just for who we are. And I am giving myself permission to not have to do anything, which is, the doing is sitting on the mat. That's maybe the only thing I do have to do is sit on the mat and be. And that's it. And that's a game changer for someone who's been hustling since the age of 6, collecting cans, to say, hey, you're enough and you don't need a lot, all that materialism and all these goals. Like, I just got so much clarity of guidance from higher beings and higher power, of just don't lose focus of yourself, which is everyone and everything. And when you come from that, everything will be clear. All of your needs will be met. You'll always be safe and taken care of. You'll always be held, and you'll be nourished. And in that nourishment, keep your awareness and keep that humility and keep that ego in check, and use it to motivate the soul's work. But you got it. You got what it takes. And you had just said that to me, and it's so beautiful to hear, and I'm reflecting it back. And everyone who sees this, you're enough. Like, you're so enough. You have all the tools. Everything that you need is right here. You don't have to look outside yourself. And anytime you are seeing something external and you're jealous and it triggers you, I invite you to look at that. I invite you to welcome that with open arms. All that is an opportunity to see where in yourself you're not loving that part, so that you can love all of it, keep it G-rated, love the freak out of it, and welcome it, because we have these walls of resistance, and that's what's tearing us apart and creating separation. And you are whole. You are so whole, worthy and deserving, and you're enough. And that's it. At its essence, Quepasana is meditation. Meditation is being with yourself. Being with yourself is awareness and observation and equanimity, which means no yes, no no, no right, no wrong, no good, no bad, as it is. Which, when you go and take away duality, you get this oneness. And the oneness is all-inclusive. And that inclusiveness reminds us that there's, I don't know, how do I put this into words? It's just the oneness that we all have, that we're all seeking to be acknowledged, we're all seeking to find, lies within your very essence of being. And so the core, to loop it all back, is like, if you're trying, whatever you're seeking to discover, just trace that oneness. If that's what you're seeking, then let's go backwards. Okay, if you're looking for oneness, sit on your mat, meditate, be with yourself, Quepasana. So anyone who's thinking of doing a course, let go of expectation, have intention, whatever that is driving you in this moment, because intention just brings a clarity and a focus for when your mind starts to wander, and it's a good thing to bring you home. Even if you don't have an intention, it could be something of just, I am, or I'm finding myself, or whatever. Be prepared for whatever needs to happen, trust and allow. Your life's gonna change. It's gonna be magical and beautiful. I'm so excited for you to meet yourself over and over and over again. And if you're coming back for a course and you're serving, I invite you to honor the balance of giving and receiving, and to truly step into service, and to let go of what's holding you back. If whatever that is, just let it go at the gate, and give yourself the freedom to be and to show up however you want to show up. Whatever that looks like, you're the only one judging yourself. Get out of that little funk and just free flow like those flow toys. What do you say to Yoda? I don't know. What do you say to a man that's consistently showing up in a way that's changing your life for the better all the time? I thank you doesn't really feel like enough. The first time I sat a course, I felt this pull to him, and I didn't understand it. And I remember I ran up after we broke Noble Silence. I was just like, I don't know why, but I need to know you, and I want to work with you, and I don't even know what that means yet. And all these things just were bubbling up. And I came back the next day and gave him acupuncture for 2 hours. And I was like, I just want to be in your presence. And he's catalyzed and shifted my whole life. It's only been 8 months since I've known the guy, but so much of my world has transformed from Quepasana, and so much of my being, of my essence, of the vision of my dharma, and my ability to step into it and believe in it simply by looking at what he's done, and him being such a pure mirror. And he just sits there at the front of the room holding it down, holding the container for 55 plus as people come and go as servers for 30 days. Who does that, and does it with poise and humility and unassumingly, and a goofiness and a playfulness. When he gets on the mic and it's too loud and he's like, whoa, and you're just like, oh my God, and he laughs at himself when he forgets something. He's just it's just this lightness of being. And some of us are going through these dark days on the mat, and to just have that bubble of light, that purity, that emulation of what it is to truly be aligned with yourself, and at the same time take no credit for it and not put himself on a pedestal or like, I am your guru, or, you know, he's just so, you know, like pure, and it's this childlike essence, and he brought that out of all of us. You know, what have I healed in myself? It's the inner child, the wounded inner child, that where it all starts. You know, it's he's cultivated a healing space that any walk of life, any person can welcomely step in here and receive a gift that is not attached, no strings attached, no expectations. You can come here for 10 days, 20, 30, 40, and have no profound moments, and that's profound in and of itself. You know, you literally don't have to do anything other than be in the shala at the times you need to be in the shala, show up, and that's it. And thank you, you know, thank you. The world needs this. We're rewriting, he's a coder, we're recoding, you know, from the DNA, we're uncoiling to the mass matrix of the external world. It's all shifting, and the people coming through are these light beings and these star seeds, and like, it all sounds kind of woo-woo, but it's not anymore. You know, I've been on this path through my 20s, like it's been almost a decade, and I used to not fully understand what it all meant or where it was all going. I'm finally getting that clarity, that light at the end of the tunnel, and to see someone who's been in the other side, you know, the corporate, the grind that I've been into, maybe not corporate, I've always kind of avoided that world, but grinding and hustling and on a mission, to then see how you can flip it and find yourself and then maintain and then be of service and give it to the opportunity to others. Like that's the goal right there. So thank you for showing up, for living your dharma, for being such a pure example. You know, I walk in the light that he casts, and I use it to find my own light, and then hopefully spread that light around and fairy dust it all over, you know. So just I bow in gratitude. Quepasana is awesome. I just want to share that I'm grateful. I'm humbled. I'm excited. And I'm home. I really feel at home at Quepasana. I feel like I can be me, and I'm excited to meet all the new pilgrims and meet all the Jedis I have yet to meet, and continue to grow together and heal together and spread this love and light together. So